ఈరోజు మనం ఈ వీడియోలో 5th A ఫిజిక్స్ 3rd BSc యూనిట్ 2 చాప్టర్ 3 ఎలక్ట్రికల్ అండ్ మ్యాగ్నెటిక్ ఫీల్డ్స్ గురించి నేర్చుకుందాం. ఒక రైట్ స్టూడెంట్స్, ఇన్ దిస్ చాప్టర్ వీ కెన్ డిస్కస్ అబౌట్ Barton's law, calculation of field, that is magnetic field is due to a long straight wire, circular current loop and solenoid. And the third part is Hall effect, Hall coefficient and its applications. The first, Barton's law. When current passing through a conductor, a magnetic field induces around it with the flow of current. The magnetic field at a point, due to a very small current carrying element in the conductor, depends on 4 factors. One is current passing through the element, the length of the element, and inversely proportional square of the distance between the element and the point P, and also depends on the sign of the angle between the radius vector and the direction of the current. How? So let us discuss about this. When the current passing through a straight conductor, to calculate magnetic field at point P due to a small element delta L in the conductor, depends on number 1, directly proportional to the current in the element and directly proportional to the length of the element. If the angle between the element and the radius vector of the point P is theta, then dB is proportional to sin of the angle. And the fourth one is, it is inversely proportional to the distance of point P from the element, square of the distance of the point from the element. If we combine all these factors, dB is proportional to ideal sin theta by r square. When the conductor is placed in vacuum or in air, the proportionality constant is mu naught by 4 pi. So dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into ideal sin theta by r square. But we know the electric field and the magnetic field, these are vectors, so that if we write the above formula in the vector form, dB bar equal to mu naught by 4 pi into I dl bar cross r bar by r cube. To get the total magnetic field due to all the elements in the conductor, we can integrate this dB along the length of the conductor. Right. Now the first application is the magnetic induction due to a current carrying straight wire. As shown in the figure, there is a long straight conductor. A current I is passing through it. Our aim is to calculate the magnetic induction due to a small element at point P. So we can draw a normal from P onto the wire. The foot of this is O, and consider a small element dl at a distance L from O, and join the element AB and P. The distance between the element and the P is r bar, and the angle between the direction of the current and the r bar is theta, and the angle between normal drawn from P on the element to the radius vector is alpha. We know that the induced magnetic field due to the element dl is mu naught by 4 pi into ideal sin theta by r square according to Barton's-Hart law. So to find out the magnetic field due to the whole straight conductor, we can integrate the above equation, which is a line integral dB, which is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi into integral minus infinity to plus infinity sin theta dl by r square, where small r is equal to square root over L square plus capital R square, which is from the figure, and also sin theta is equal to sin pi minus theta, which is equal to capital R by small r. So substitute the value of small r, sin theta is equal to capital R by small L square plus capital R square whole power 3 by whole power of. Substituting these values in the above equation, we will get B is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi integral minus infinity to plus infinity capital R real by L square plus capital R square whole power 3 by 2. To evaluate the integrate, we substitute the values taken from the figure. Small l is equal to r tan alpha. From this, if we differentiate it, dl is equal to r secant square alpha d alpha. Okay. So substitute these values in the above equation. We will get dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into mu naught by 4 pi into integral minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 r square secant square alpha d alpha by r square tan alpha tan square alpha plus r square whole power 3 by 2, which is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi integral minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2 r square secant square alpha d alpha by r cube into 1 plus tan square theta whole power tan square alpha whole power 3 by 2. But we know 1 plus tan square alpha is equal to secant square alpha. So that substituting this value, B is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi integral minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2 d alpha by r secant alpha, which is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r integral minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2 cos alpha d alpha, which is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r sin alpha between minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. By substituting the values of alpha, upper and lower limits, we will get B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r Weber per meter square. The magnetization of induction of a current carrying conductor always lies in a plane perpendicular to the wire, which are shown in the figure. Now the second application is B due to the current carrying circular loop. Consider a circular loop perpendicular to the place perpendicular to the place, that is space, whose radius is capital A and a current I is passing through it. Our aim is to calculate the magnetic induction due to the conductor due to the circular coil on the axis of the coil at a distance x from the center. For this purpose, we can consider an element of length dl AB as shown in the figure, and we can join the element and P. The radius vector is small r. Now, due to the small element dl, using Barton's-Hart law, magnetic induction at P, dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi dl bar cos r bar by r cube, which is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into ideal sin 90 by r square, because the length dl and r is the angle between dl and r is 90 degrees, which is equal to mu naught by 4 pi ideal by r square. So we can divide dB at P into two components. One is along axis dB sin phi and normal to the axis at P dB cos phi. Similarly, as shown in the figure, we can choose one more element A dash B dash whose length is equal to the length of element AB on the opposite side of the diameter. Due to this A dash B dash element, the field at P also is dB dash, whose magnitude equal to the dB also. We can also divide this dB dash or dB into two components. One is along dB sin phi and the second one is normal to axis at P in the that is downward direction dB cos phi or dB dash cos phi. But dB cos phi is equal to dB dash cos phi, which are equal and opposite. So these two normal components cancel with each other. But the tangential components, which are dB sin phi and dB dash sin phi, or 2 dB sin phi. The line integral of this dB sin phi around the circular path or along the circular path or along the circumference gives the resultant of the magnetic induction due to the whole circular coil. So B is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r square integral dl sin phi. From the figure sin phi is equal to a by r, so that mu naught Ia by 4 pi r square integral dl around the circular coil. We know the line integral of a circle along the circumference is equal to its circumference, which is equal to 2 pi a. So integral dl is equal to 2 pi a. By substituting this value B is equal to mu naught Ia by 4 pi into a square plus x square whole power 3 by 2 into 2 pi a. So mu naught Ia square by 2 into a square plus x square whole power 3 by 2. If there are Kaplan turns in the coil, then B is equal to mu naught n Ia square by 2 into a square plus x square whole power 3 by 2. The direction of B is along the axis, no doubt at all. When the point P is at the center O, then x is equal to 0, so that B at the center is equal to mu naught n A square by 2a cube, which is equal to mu naught n by 2a. If the point P lies at a long distance on the axis from the center, then OP, that is x, is very very greater than a. So we can neglect a square with compare with x square in the above equation. B equal to mu naught ni a square by 2x cube. Now B at a B due to solenoid. Consider a solenoid as shown in the figure, whose length is smaller and its radius is small a. Our aim is to calculate the magnetic induction when current passing through the solenoid on the axis of the solenoid. So for this purpose, we can divide the solenoid into a number of narrow equidistant coils with the width dx. So if the number of turns per centimeter length of the solenoid is smaller, the number of turns in the element is ndx. Let x be the distance between P and the center. So the field at P due to elementary coil, whose width is dx, carrying a current I, is given by dB is equal to mu naught and dx Ia square. That is from the equation that already derived, mu naught n I a square by 2 into a square plus x square whole power 3 by 2. Here capital N is equal to total number of turns in the coil. Here the number of turns is equal to n dx. And from the figure, that is the angle made at P by the element is d theta, and angle made PB with the axis is theta, and you have to draw a normal from A on PB, which gives RD theta. By using this information, and from the right angle triangle APO, A square plus x square is equal to R square. Therefore, A square plus x square whole power 3 by 2 is equal to R cube. Substitute this. So dB is equal to mu naught n r d theta sin theta Ia square. Okay, by 2r cube. By simplifying it, you will get mu naught ni d theta sin theta by 2. To get the magnetic conduction due to the whole solenoid, due to the turns in the whole solenoid, is equal to, we will get it by integrating it. Let us observe the figure that gives the angle by the first turn of the solenoid that joins the line, first turn and the P makes an angle theta 1, and the angle made by the line joining last turn and P with theta 2. Then we will get B due to the whole solenoid is integral theta 1 to theta 2 dB. And substituting the value of dB and we can integrate, you will get mu naught ni by 2 into cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. So the above equation give B duty at any point on P with the whole solenoid. When the length of the solenoid is very very long, then theta 1 is approximately 0 and theta 2 is pi. By substituting these values in the above equation, you will get B is equal to mu naught ni. So which can be taken as the field at the center of the long solenoid. Field at an axial point and an axial end point. If we take P at the end of the axis on either on the left or right side, we will get theta 1 is equal to 0 or 90 or theta 2 is equal to 90 or 0. Or let us assume at the right side, then theta 1 is equal to, at the left side, theta 1 is equal to 0 and theta is equal to 90. So substituting these values, you will get B is equal to mu naught ni by 2. From the above two equations, that is fourth and fifth equations, we can observe that the field at a point P on the axis due to a finite length is equal to the field due to a solenoid of infinite length. So let us consider one more thing, that is when P lies on the center of the solenoid of finite length, then center means the length of, if the length of the solenoid is L, then the distance from the center to any one of the ends is equal to L by 2. Now from this, cos theta 1 is equal to L by 2 by a square plus L by 2 whole square whole power of, which is equal to L by 4a square plus L square whole power half. From the figure, cos theta 1 is equal to cos pi minus theta 2, which is also equal to L by 2, cos theta 1 is equal to minus cos pi minus theta 2, which is also equal to L by 4a square plus L square whole power of. Substituting these two values in the equation 2, you will and simplify, we will get that B is equal to mu naught I n L by 4a square plus L square whole power of, which is equal to mu naught I n by 4a square plus L square whole power of. Hall effect. When a magnetic field is applied perpendicular to a current carrying conductor, a potential difference is developed between the points on the opposite sides of the conductor. Let us consider a small metallic strip and a current I is passing through it, and we have applied along the x-axis. A magnetic field B is applied along the x-axis. Then when current passing through the conductor or strip, the magnetic force acted on the current carrying charge carriers, so there is an attraction force. So that depending on the sign of the carriers, if they are electrons, they will move in the upward direction. If they are holes, they move in the below the downward direction. And charges are accumulated on the surface PB and Q, and also plane perpendicular in the downward also. So that the upper side will be charged negatively while the lower side will be charged positively. Thus, a transverse potential is created. So the EMF automotive for this type of EMF fault is called as Hall EMF. The sign of the EMF depends on the charge. If the charge carriers are interchanged, the sign of the EMF also interchanged. Thus we can find the nature of the charge carriers by determining the sign of the Hall EMF. Experiment showed that the charge carriers in the metals are electrons, and in p-type semiconductor these are holes. So due to this potential difference, a transverse field appeared, which that field is known as Hall field. This field acts inside the conductor and opposed the path of the way of the charge carriers. So due to this, the sideway drift on the charge carriers happened. When the equilibrium reached, the force that acts, the net force that acts due to the magnetic deflecting force and the Hall electric deflecting force will becomes zero. We know that in this situation there is no net force acts on it, so that the velocity of the charge carriers is equal to the drift velocity. The magnetic deflecting force that acts on the charge carrier is equal to Q times Vd bar cos B bar. Due to the Hall electric field, the force is Q times E bar H. At equilibrium, the sum of these two is equal to 0, so that the magnitude of EH is equal to minus VdP. We know the relation between current density and drift velocity. Vd is equal to J by Nq, where J is the current density, N is the number of charge carriers per unit volume, and Q is the charge of this. From the above equation, Hall field EH is equal to JVP and Q. If VH is the Hall voltage in equilibrium, EH is equal to VH by T. So the Hall coefficient RH is defined as the ratio of the electric field and the product of JB. By substituting the value of EH, JJ cancel with each other, Q also cancel with each other, BB also cancel with each other. We will get RH is equal to 1 by NQ, which is known as Hall coefficient. So the Hall coefficient is defined as the ratio of EH to the product of JB. If RH is negative, means 1 by NQ is negative. N is number, so Q is negative. The charge carriers are electrons. Similarly, if RH is positive, then the charge carriers are holes. how this Hall effect is useful, or how the Hall effect used as applications. The one is already, Hall effect gives the sign of the charge carriers in the conductors. So it is also useful to measure the drift velocity of the charge carriers. And Hall coefficient gives the number of current carriers N per unit volume, that is N is equal to JB by QEH. So similarly from the MV equation, strong magnetic waves can also be measured by Hall effect. And also the mobility of the charge carriers can be measured with the help of Hall effect.